The Grey Cup would come back a couple more times in the 1980s. Tell us about that in 86 and 87.
Yeah, 86. Oddly enough, Vancouver had them back to back. And in 86, the Edmonton Eskimos were prohibitive favorites, and the Hamilton Tiger Cats ended up winning in convincing fashion with Mike Kerrigan at quarterback, giving Harold Ballard the opportunity to embrace the Grey Cup and give it a big old smooch. But that wasn't much of a game. It actually turned into a very surprising blowout in an opposite direction. The exciting game between these two happened between Edmonton again and the Toronto Argonauts. And in 1987, this is a game that went really back and forth. It was a high scoring game. One of the highlights of the game was Henry Gizmo Williams on a wide field goal attempt from Lance Chomick from 37 yards out. He had missed one from 37 earlier to the right. This one he missed to the left. Gizmo Williams takes it about 8 yards deep in the end zone, weaves his way through the only way this guy can, finds the end zone, chopped by Chomick just as he crosses the goal line for an electrifying return that added to Edmonton's momentum. And there's another clip that if you want to look it up, type in Gizmo Williams Grey Cup return. 1987. It's the best TV call ever by a play-by-play guy. The reason I can remember all of these details about Chomick is because Don Whitman, love him or hate him, I loved him. He sets up the field goal. He says, Lance Chomick, he missed from here. This is from the opposite hash mark. It's from the same distance. Gizmo Williams is X number of yards in the end zone. The kick is up and it's wide. And then he shuts up for the entire return and lets the crowd tell the story and goes into the end zone. They go to the camera at the field level. And then he says, and once again, the Gizmo delivers. That's all you have to say in a moment like that. You need to look it up if you're interested in seeing something that was totally electrifying.
Here they came. The American invaders came to BC Place Stadium to try to bring the Grey Cup, take the Grey Cup out of Canadian hands. And the BC Lions we're going to have none of that. And they defended the Grey Cup that day. The game wasn't sold out. It was an interesting atmosphere being 1994, several months after one of Vancouver's other sports riots. But this was also a game with some stars on both sides of the field, some great coaches. Tell us more about this, the epic between the BC Lions and Baltimore on that day.
Yeah, so we've already had some pretty good Grey Cup games in BC Place. You had a 1 point game with BC and Toronto in 83. We had Jerry Korick. I needed to mention that with the 87 game deciding it for Edmonton over Toronto. But 1994, I'm not sure if you could really construct that much drama into a game in terms of this Canadian chalice being at risk of being exported to the United States, Baltimore of all places. And it really what it came down to in that game. There were two quarterbacks that ran through that game for the Lions, Kent Austin and Danny McManus. Can you imagine? Like, I mean, we've just seen it with this edition of the Lions with Nathan Rourke and Vernon Adams Jr., two quality quarterbacks that could start anywhere in the Canadian Football League. There's the Lions with those two guys in their lineup. The guy that never made it to the sidelines of that particular time in that 1 year, Trent Green, who went on to the Kansas City Chiefs and became an All-Pro in 1 year. But anyway, they both played. Danny McManus finished that game off, and it was by the way, I don't want to go too far down the road here, but that 94 run, what a tremendous run! Because if you remember, the 1994 Western Final was Darren Flutie in the snow in that crazy game, maybe the most exciting football playoff game I have ever seen in my life between Calgary and BC. The snow came in right on cue. There were so many momentum shifts in that game, whether it's Ray Alexander's blocked field goal, whether you can just, there's another one that you got to look up on YouTube. And then the game before, I was in attendance at that game where Damon Allen throws an interception on a 2nd and 6 as Edmonton can close the game out with a field goal, but Charlie Gordon picks it off, runs it down into Edmonton territory. 3 plays later, Louis Pasaglia is kicking a game-winning field goal. So you've got one game that is decided by two, another game that's decided by that was 38, another two, and then another game that's coming down to the toe of Louis Pasaglia between Baltimore and BC. And Louis had a shot at that and missed it the first time, right? Inside the 3 minute warning, and then makes it on the second opportunity that he has. And there's one fantastic shot and it's shot from behind Pasaglia where he puts it up, and there's somebody just sitting right above the entrance in the end zone seats with a Canadian flag, and he's waving a Canadian flag, and you see the ball sailing up through the uprights, and at least for one more year, the BC Lions saved the Grey Cup for Canada. The next year, Flutie wasn't so lucky in Regina playing for the Calgary Stampeders as he lost to Baltimore. That was the one game that we'd really like to have back, I think, as Canadians.